Right, it is interview season, and as always, like every other year, we have an example of a real MMI interview to show you. Again, I'm not going to tell you which university it's from. You can guess and put it in the comments and I'll tell you whether you're right. But you are going to see exactly what the interview format is like, a real example, and you're also going to see critiques of the answers so that you can understand whether what that person said was a good answer, whether they ended up getting a place, and then understand from their mistakes and from the things that they did well, how you can apply that to your interviews. Now, if you want some help with your interview and you want it in a specific university format, whatever the university, I would highly recommend that you check out the Future Doc program. We have a 93% success rate for getting people in. However, once people get to interview, the Future Doc success rate is pretty much 100%, close to, very, very close. So I would recommend, if you are serious about getting past that final hurdle, which is heartbreaking when people get rejected after interview, if you want to avoid that and get some help to make sure you are the best prepared possible for your interview, check out the Future Doc program. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy the interview, and I will see you after that session, after that recording, at the end of this video, where I'm going to show you exactly how you can get a really good university guide and where you can get some help as well. So enjoy, and I will see you after the interview.
Okay, so your first question is, you're in a group of 6 where you have been allocated 3 courseworks of varying nature, which are required to be completed in 3 weeks, all with the same deadline. In your group, there are people with different interests in the various courseworks, and you are the lead. What would be your approach in this scenario to do well on coursework and also meet the requirements of the various people in your group? Okay, so I'll give you 5 minutes. Once again, if you want to repeat the scenario at any time, just let me know.
Am I able to somewhat repeat the question just to clarify I'm understanding it right?
Close.
So I'm a team lead of 6. Everybody has different interests, but not, or am I?
3 different interests.
Okay.
In terms of interest in the work.
Mm-hmm. And we have 3 weeks to complete 3 sets of coursework. Okay.
No, it's okay, coming up to your 1 minute warning now. Okay, coming up to a 30-second warning now. Okay, awesome.
One of the first things I would do in the position of a leader is to organize an informal social gathering with the group, preferably at a cafe where everybody can just sit down and chat. As I'm unaware if my group members would know each other prior to this, it's important, if we're going to be completing a group project, that we build some rapport so that we feel that we can ask questions and help within our group members during the project. During this meeting, it's important that I get a full idea of who my group members are, what their personalities are, and what their interests are with the project. Having been in a leadership position at Key Club, which is a community service club, I know sometimes during a meeting it can be nerve-wracking to people to talk, which is why I think a cafe is a good setting, as even if somebody's a bit nervous, they can still have an opportunity to grab a coffee, or even if it's something minor, they can talk, oh, I just like the coffee. It's something small just to mention, or have a nice atmosphere. I just feel that could calm people's nerves. So it's important that once I have an idea of where everybody's interests will be in the project, we can compare that to the coursework syllabus, and then start allocating jobs. I think at this point, it'll be good to write some sort of a group contract just to see where everybody's responsibilities would be, and to make sure that everybody is happy with the division of roles, and just to confirm that everything that is required will be completed. Mm. If any issues come up that somebody doesn't want to do a particular role, I'll assess how lengthy the task is and how much work it will take. And I will see if I can split the role with myself and some team members if it's a big task. If not, I wouldn't mind either delegating it to somebody who people say isn't doing as much say, or just doing it myself. Just because I feel as though if I delegate the tasks that people are interested first, it'll be done to a higher standard because they're more interested in it. And And I feel so my role as a leader is really to support the team and help them express their best abilities. So I feel like that my supportive role could be filling in the gaps where they felt fine.
Okay. What would you do now if you had someone in your group who, in the discussion, was quite overbearing or didn't let others speak? How would you handle that situation?
I feel like I've had this problem before. For example, when you're planning a Duke of Edinburgh expedition, it can be quite difficult and at times frustrating to think that what you're saying isn't really being heard. But the best thing you can do is just have a small chat and say, hey, this is a group discussion. It's important that we can all feel that we have the opportunity to talk to one another and that we are all heard of this as what you're saying is important and we do appreciate it, but we just need to have other people have the opportunity to talk as well.
And finally, what would you do if during a PBL session at medical school, your group and yourself were stuck on a concept and didn't know what to do next?
In this scenario, the first thing I would do is to look at what we know.
Sure.
And then make like a what we know and what we don't know list. And if we can then look at the list of what we don't know, we can then find ways to find the answers. For example, looking in a textbook or online, just to see if we can further figure that out ourselves. If it's something that we are truly stuck on, we can always ask the PBL tutor. As from what I've read from the Hull York website, it's that they're there to help progress our discussion and monitor what we are doing. But personally, I feel it's best that we do our best to unpick it ourselves in the time, if we can. So yes, I feel like we would assess what we don't know and why we don't know it. Is it a concept we don't understand, or is it just some information we just don't have yet? And then we can streamline how we're going to find the answer and solution. So,
okay, that brings us to the end of the station. We'll now move on to our next station. Once again, read the answer to you, read the question to you, and then you have 5 minutes to think about the answer. Okay, so your question is, currently, 1 in 10 NHS jobs are vacant. How would you tackle the issue of staff shortages if you were employed as health secretary? Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. Okay, 1 minute warning. Okay, 30-second warning. Without any answer.
Having spoken to one of the Hull York's alumni who's now a junior doctor, to gain an idea of why they would be participating in one of the junior doctor strikes, I got to the conclusion that the strikes are mainly happening for 3 main reasons. Many doctors and healthcare workers feel that they're unsupported, overworked, and underpaid. So what I would do as health secretary is to address these 3 issues. One, for doctors feeling that they're overworked. One of the main things that we would have to look at is why they feel overworked. Sorry. And this would, a main reason of this could be the understaffing in the NHS currently. After events such as Brexit, the nurse applications for new nurses dropped by, if I recall correctly, 96%, which is extreme because nurses hold such an important role in the hospital that having a lack of nurses would only increase the stress and workload of every other position in the hospital. Furthermore, often when these healthcare workers and doctors are overworked, because they are filling in the positions of, say, 2 doctors, they can begin to feel burnt out and then leave the profession, as many of their colleagues might have already, which then will increase the stress for the doctors that are already staying there. Furthermore, I feel so that some doctors might feel unsupported. For example, in the case of Dr. Bawagarva, in her case, there was a mishandling of many things in the hospital, and ultimately, unfortunately, led to the death of one of her patients. But the whole responsibility landed on her, and even though a lot of the blame should be distributed throughout a lot of the hospital failings, and it could be seen that she would have felt unsupported in that time, and that could show why many other doctors might have left if they felt unsupported like her. It's also important that if these doctors are feeling supported, it's not going to lead to a good working environment. They might not have. It might become sort of toxic, as seen with the Francis reports, where it was shown that such a toxic working environment led to bad patient outcomes. And it was shown that many of the doctors did not enjoy their job there. And it was very evident with the patient outcomes, unfortunately. So it's important that we can find staffing to build better rapport within the community of the hospital, so that doctors enjoy and healthcare workers enjoy going to work, and that they feel like it's a good experience. Another main issue would be, so that would be the issues of overwork and unsupported. And the other issue would be underpay. The best thing I feel like that I could do would be to lobby for additional support for healthcare workers. I would do my best to listen to the current strikes going on, which is important because today paramedics are joining the nurses' strikes, which only adds to the additional stress of other healthcare workers, which I completely understand. I feel as though we need to really lobby for healthcare worker rights, so that they feel financially and emotionally supported with their profession, as they're carrying such a heavy workload and the emotional support for many of their patients. It's important that they can feel comfortable and that they're provided for with their profession.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for the question. Well, I'll move on to our next station, which is, what qualities do you have that will make you a good doctor? It's 5 minutes, February. Okay, coming up to your 1 minute warning. 30 second warning.
So just to confirm the questions, what are the qualities that will make me a good doctor?
Yeah, what qualities do you have that makes you a good doctor? 10 second warning now. Right, may I begin?
I would say that I have 3 main qualities that would make me a good doctor. One of the first qualities would be that I have good communication skills, especially in higher stress environments. Examples of this would be when I was participating in the Youth Advances program, where I live is a mental health advocacy group. I was given the opportunity to be a panelist in front of the governor and other political figures where I live. And I was able to calm myself down in that scenario, as I'm not normally a person who's able to speak so readily for public speaking. So I was able to calm myself down and speak clearly by slowing down my words. And I was able to learn the skills to clearly communicate in this environment, which was important, as at the end of our panel, several people made comments on what I had said, which was important to me, as it showed me that I was clear and people heard my points. I could comment and continue the conversation around it. In a medical environment, this is important because I'm aware that we'll be dealing with difficult situations and delivering on troubling news to patients. Unfortunately, it's important that the patient's able to hear you clearly, especially in those stressful times, and you can deliver the message to their full understanding. Another attribute that I have that could make me a good doctor is that I have good teamwork skills. An example of this is through my work with a Key Club, which is a community service club. And one of its core values is that you're working as a community to serve the community. And I think I'm a good member of that club because I do my best to make sure that everybody feels included. I will do things such as organize socials and really talk to people in the club just to make sure that everybody feels included and they feel that they have the opportunity to say what they would like to do for community service, and that they feel welcome to join any event that we have. That's really important for me as a team member, and it's important that everybody feels that they can join that team too. And this is very important as in medicine. We will be working as a multidisciplinary team, and it's extremely important that you can be a team player, as ultimately it's the health of the patient that's at the line. If you can't work as a team, it won't result in a good patient outcome. And with the teamwork, the process is going to be more streamlined with the patient care. The last reason why I think that I would be a good doctor would be that I am very reflective and receptive to feedback. I'm aware that medicine is a lifelong learning career, and so this is very important that I have this skill down. An example of this would be in one of my medical internships. I was making the slides for psychology, and as this was my first time doing it, I made a lot of mistakes. So yes, and it was very important that I listened to the psychologist and really got a good idea how to use the resin to put the cover slips on, how to put the right amount of cell solution on the slides, all of those steps, just so that I could do my job best of ability. And it's important that I was able to learn from these mistakes, because I was able to develop a way of reflecting and problem solving so I can prevent future mistakes, such as pre-counting the pipette ends so that I would prevent contamination of the cell solutions. So this is important, as with a job in medicine, you will always have superiors that will make comments on your work. And it's important that you don't get angry or frustrated with those comments. It's important that you take what they're saying and really develop your method of care, just so that you can use others' experiences to benefit your own. And therefore, you'll be giving the best patient outcome to all of your patients and overall develop into a more well-rounded doctor.
Okay, thank you. That's all the time we have for that question. Okay, now moving on to our next station, which is where I'll ask you an opening question. There'll be another question to follow, so just bear in mind for that. So your opening question is, why did you want to become a doctor?
I just have a quick question. Will I have 5 minutes for the questions? Or 5 minutes?
It'll be 5 minutes for in total.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll start with your time on that. Okay, your 1 minute warning as well. 37 warning. 10-second warning, you're up. Can you now begin your answer?
When I was originally thinking of the career I wanted to go into, originally it wasn't medicine. It was actually mortuary sciences. So, as you might be able to imagine, I wasn't able to find many job internships for that career. So I found that the next best thing was medical internships. But actually going to these internships helped me find the two main things I found fulfilling in a career, which is having some practical application of science and having a good community within my job. And that could include the patient side and working as a team. And I found particularly medicine to be so important, because with the patient side, I just found it it made my day to be able to help people in any way I could when I was in my job. For example, when I was shadowing and interning at the A&E ward at my local hospital, Admittedly, there wasn't much I could do within my means to help patients, but something that I could do was help a patient who was in pain to the restroom. Admittedly, it's not the biggest thing that I did, but just like hearing their thank you and just seeing how like better they felt, like it just made me feel like, wow, this is like fulfilling. But it just sounds cheesy, but it just made me happy, and I just saw myself like I could do that every day. I like making people, having the opportunity to make people more comfortable and like happier, really brought me more peace and just made me feel happier about that. And with the practical application of sciences, when I was shadowing at the surgery ward at my hospital, I observed an orthopedic surgery where the rib bone was, they used that to replace part of the patient's leg bone. And I found out they made a tiny incision by the rib. And I just thought that was so impressive because it was really only an incision big enough to get that rib bone out. And that skill and knowledge of anatomy was so like inspiring to me. I thought that it was just like incredible how this team of surgeons worked quickly and efficiently, and just the pride on their faces when they made the final incision was just like, I don't know how to describe it. It was just amazing. And having that be the first surgery I ever saw, it will always like stay with me. It was like just so precise, and I just can't imagine like how like diligent and how much work out was put in to get to that place. And that's somewhere that I want to be one day, just to be so confident and just give like such a benefit to somebody's life.
True. And I guess now I'd like to ask you, why would you like to now study medicine but at Hull York Medical School?
Me, after looking at your early clinical contact, that was one of the main things I saw. As I find it so fulfilling to like speak with patients and work in that community, it was really important I found a university where I could get that early clinical aspect access. Another reason that I really enjoyed Hull York was the way anatomy was taught. I really appreciated how cross-section was used as close to dissection, as I felt that it made more sense, as that's the way you learn anatomy normally, from the bones out. So I thought that was a really good choice on your behalf. And another reason was the option to intercalate. I saw on your website that you had options to go further into anatomy, and that was really of interest to me. So that was it was good that I could have that opportunity in mind there. On top of that, I saw the research that you do at this school, and one of them was to do with sag flies and as they're a disease vector. And coming for the Cayman Islands, there's so many sand flies there. And if that disease came to Cayman, it's so important that universities like Hull York have vaccines ready. So it was important to me that there was a university looking out for a couple of areas, like where I come from.
That's all the questions for me.
Is there more time?
Yeah, cool.
It's
3 seconds.
on top of that, I really loved the societies. I de-stressed by playing the viola. So it was important that I could find a university where I could continue that and play in the orchestra. Is that fine?
I'll go back 10 seconds.
I like it. Yeah, and I also like the weather. A lot colder than Cayman. So I thought it was a great location. Overall, I love this university.
Thank you, Dr. All right. So from this one, this is your last station. Well, I've come this far. And this one will be a video. So I'll share it on the screen in a moment. And the way it'll work is you'll watch the entirety of the video. I'll give you about a minute or two, maybe a minute and a half to just gather your thoughts. And then once again, I'll commence 5 minutes to ask the question. So in total, this station will be about 10 minutes. Should I say what?
Just to clarify, I watched the video for like however long, or 2 minutes. Then I have question 5 minutes. Okay, thank you.
So out of technology. Got it.
Hello. Nice to meet you. I'm just back again. Yes. Yeah, it's not that long since you were last here. I know, but I'm really not happy with these heavy periods. You're not happy? Well, no, I've been to see you several times and you put me on tablets and they're just not working, and you're really thinking, I want to. Excuse me. You've not had the time to take the whole course of tablets, so how do you know they're not working? I'm just far too busy. I have a really busy, hectic life. I'm running this major organisation that's having a huge conference, and I've been thinking a lot about it. But I just want to look after their health. You can't. A hysterectomy? Yeah, mate, that's what I want. I want to be referred on so I can have a hysterectomy. Well, and just get this whole scenario finished and done with. I think you're overreacting. I think that you don't live my life. I'm really. Can I struggling to hear you what your options are here? Let's just. All right, I'll let that options. Listen to your options. First of all, tell me what was the problem with taking the medicine. What was the problem now that you couldn't take the medicine as prescribed? Well. I'm busy, I'm travelling, I'm not always sitting. Listen, priority, free families with me. You need to make it a priority. I've already made my mind up that I'm not wanting to go down the tablet route. It's the hysterectomy. Okay, hysterectomy. So, the last time you were here, we discussed having a coil. That can be quite effective in helping this heavy bleeding. Not interested in that. Well, that's a non-medical alternative. I really, as I say, my lifestyle is such that I need to move on. I've been taking time off work. I work in a male environment. It's starting to be flagged up as an issue, and I'm not prepared to have that compromise my career. I really want to go ahead and have a hysterectomy. See from your records here that you're 32. Yes. I'm afraid that I'm not prepared to consider even putting your name forward for that. It's my choice. No, you're too young. You might want children, and regardless, I don't want children. I've already made that life choice. I'm quite happy. It might be your decision if you want children, but as a doctor, I'm not prepared to make that decision and to verify that decision for you. As a doctor, you're there to listen to me. Yes, help me. And I have been listening to you for a period of 6 weeks now. I'm feeling you're not actually listening to me. I am. You have a heavy you have a heavy lifestyle, and you're wanting somebody to fix. I'm sorry for you. I think quick fix. I think I'm going to have to go to private. I'm sorry. It's invasive what you're asking. You're not listening to me. I appreciate your time, but this is not working for me. So I think I'm going to have to go elsewhere. I think that would be for the best, because I can't help you any further. Okay, thank you. Come to that agreement. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. So that is the end of the video. So I'll give you about 2 minutes to just process everything in there, and we'll have a discussion after. And here comes up to your 1 minute now. Okay, 30 seconds only. 10 seconds more. All right, we now begin. So my first question to you is, what did the doctor do wrong in this consultation?
I feel like there was many things that it went wrong. The first thing that I noticed was the doctor had very poor body language. And by that I mean when she was talking to the patient, she would often turn around and avoid eye contact, which would give the impression to the patient that the doctor is not listening. And oftentimes the doctor would speak over and interrupt the patient when they were trying to explain what they think is wrong. And something that really stuck out to me is when the doctor said, "Oh, but I have been listening to you. I have been." That just kind of sounds very wrong, because that whole video was showing how the doctor hadn't been listening to the patient. And it could be very frustrating to the patient just to be spoken over, not listened to, how the doctor even gaslight the patient that they've been listening to them. So I would say there's just no sympathy for the patient. They don't want to listen to the patient. There's poor everything to do with communication, really.
It's a really bad example, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess now my question would be, how would you now approach this consultation? Let's say it's Dr. Doval, you're sitting at the desk. What are some of the things you would do from the beginning all the way to the end of the consultation?
Well, one of the first things I would do is ask how they've been. As I heard with them that the medication that I prescribed them wasn't working. And I am aware that severe menstrual pain might be common, but it's not normal. So there must be a reason for this. So I would try and find if there's other things that they might have, such as PCOS, that could cause their menstrual pain to be worse than normal. I would look through these routes as the patient expressed that they would want a hysterectomy. I would explain what that would mean, and I would not give them the impression that they're too young or they might want to have children in the future, as I feel that's very demeaning, and it kind of puts words into the patient's mouth that they might not, like they express that they don't want to have kids, so you must respect that. So I would explain that, first of all, that the course of the medication is not done, but I completely understand that they're in severe pain and it is compromising their dog now. I would explain that I understand this isn't normal. And I would explain that I think it's best that we look through routes to see if there's a cause for the issue. Because if we find the cause, we can then find treatment. And if it comes down to it, I would then see if they can get the hysterectomy, if that's the option that they are adamant for, as it's important that we appreciate the patient's autonomy in this situation.
Okay. Why do you think it's important that doctors and patients have a good professional working relationship?
It's extremely important for them, doctors and patients, to have a good working relationship. As the patient, the only way doctors can treat the patient is if the patient gives an honest review of their symptoms and how they're feeling about the situation. And as that's the only way for a doctor, apart from say blood tests, to review the situation. And even for having testing done, you need to have the patient's consent. And the only way for the patient to get consent is if they feel comfortable in the situation and they understand what's happening, and they know that it will ultimately help them. And for that to happen, they need to trust the doctor.
And how do you think doctors can adapt their communication? Like, for example, in GP, but there's not really a lot of time. GP appointments are 10 minutes. How do they now adapt their communication to those high stress situations there isn't really a lot of time to delve a bit deeper?
Mm-hmm. I don't mean to be harsh in this. I think it's good that we can have dedicated time just for the patient to vent and just say, these are the problems. But I would then do my best to just give the information that I have, then ask questions, just because I feel like if we get the information first, then the patient can ask as many questions as possible, and there's more time for them to get a better understanding. And that way, I feel like there's a good balance that they can feel heard and they can give as much information as they had, but then also get the information that they need. And unfortunately, there isn't a lot of time in a GP setting. Hopefully in the future, there's more people would want to be GP, so there's of a workload. But I feel like the best thing that could happen is just to see how much information we can go through as fast as possible, just so that the patient feels that they were heard and that they feel satisfied with the care they're being given.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of the interview. Well done. Take a time. You've done it. You've done it for the personal. Really well done, Isabella. How did it go for you?
When I walked into here, I was like, "Oh no, this is real." That turned it out that I don't know if I was throwing it off that I was nervous. So I was like, if I leave this room, I might run away. So I think the first question wasn't the best because I was super nervous, and I was like, I don't know how to use this planning time. But I feel like after that question, I kind of organized how I'd use it. Yeah. So I don't know if you saw me, I was kind of breaking my little time. No, even though there's nothing there, I was let me mess this up. So I hope that worked out. My answers were better. No. But yeah, I think after the station one, I feel like that was my best question.
Definitely, I think you done really well throughout the interview. Well, you have such an amazing manner. It's almost natural to you, the way you're passionate. You always have a smile. You speak very, clearly, and you're very articulate. And, just generally, I was really impressed with how you work. I can sense you were nervous when we were walking through, because I tried to do a bit of small talk, and you were just so I was like, okay. But you grow, I think, with all things, and, this is an MMI that you'll grow into a lot of the time. But the fact that you're having preparation now, and this, I try to make it as high pressure as possible, and far away. So these are all things that when you go to Hull, you'll be prepared for. And, you still have this more coming up. So I think you're in the right place and you're in the right time frame to work towards it. And that was evidence throughout your questions. You say the first question was the hardest one for you. I actually scored you 5 out of 5. So, whoa, really? Yeah. You did really well. So we'll talk through every station in turn now. So when you first had the question for the group dynamics, obviously you won't get something like this in the audio. It'll be probably the group of all of you discussing. But what I wanted to do here is highlight some of the core themes of group work and where things may go wrong on the day in terms of if there's like an actor in the room that wants to be the overbearing student or the shy.
Can they do that? Like,
They know what they can. Well, it'd be funny. They could make it make it a bit interesting. But I think it'll probably be you guys and the facilitators and the medical sheet. Like, they can't do that because they haven't told you that in advance. But I was just like, well, let's look at all the sorts of paths that can happen with that group work one. And you started off by saying you would organize a social meeting. I really like that. It's something that we even do as students in a business school. We have to do a lot of group work. And one of those is actually you have to now manage your group and make sure that you guys are all social and build that rapport. Because if you don't have that good bond, a lot of the time the work is always like a chore coming to meetings. So yeah, I really like that. And just generally, you had really good eye contact and you have clear articulation throughout. So that was awesome. You're dressed appropriately. This is really confident at times.
I was planning on wearing exactly this.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, I'm glad you treated this like the real thing because you will now be so much more prepared for it when it comes. I guess more about this question, I liked how you linked your approach to your own experience. That's really good because you're not just telling me that, oh, these are all things I'll hypothetically do. I've actually done them and they've voted solutions. So that was really nice. The next follow-up question was about how you will deal with someone who's quite overbearing. Very classic situation you find yourself in, even on the day. There may be that person who wants to be leader today, and then they may not let you speak. So it's really important that you call that out. And like, look, I really appreciate what you're saying, but mind if I just contribute here? So that was really nice one. And you spoke about your own experience as well, and how you dealt with that. And then the final question was linked to more so about PBL. And this could be a situation you actually find yourself in. So that was a really good thing that you mentioned about, what we put down on the board, what we know, what we don't know. Because that's how when I do my CBL sessions at Bristol, a lot of the time you will be stuck because they try to present information in a way that means you have to piece it together and it's almost like a puzzle. So really, there will be times they're like, oh, I don't know where to go. And I think even on the day, depending on how they spin it, they may give you like a medical condition that you have no idea about. But really, they don't really want you to know anything about it. It's just about the approach. So that structure is really important. So this was a really good answer. And I liked how you even incorporated the whole York Medical School PBL structure of how you have the tutor there. And that was a really nice answer to just top it off. And how did you find when you first got it? How did all your reactions or?
So when I was talking about, I think particularly the PBL one, I was like, I feel like I'm rambling here. I need to wrap this up.
I think it was a good. It's good to bring those kind of things in because it differentiates you from what everyone else will say. So It's always good to have those little points where you're like, oh, let me bring this knowledge in here just to add that.
The way restricts to it,
yeah, because you did that throughout. You put like little hints in there, and things that interviews we even want to speak about even further, and then that were really good. So don't feel like it's rambling. I think it's irrelevant for the question at hand, and for the group work on the day. You will find that it's about contributing effectively to discussion. When they ask you a question, take some time to think, raise your hand and bring a contribution. It's also about working with everyone else. So if you manage to find out what people's names are, addressing them by name, saying, oh, hey, that was a really good point you made. I agree. I'm just going to say that this, or what does the group think about this? Or opening up to discussion that, oh, guys, I just want to quickly mention this point. Have you thought about that? Those kind of things are showing high level contribution. It's not just, oh, let me just relax and then put my hand up when the time is right. You're actually actively engaged, which is what they're looking for in their mark scheme. They're looking at participation and a contribution. So you want to be an active person in this conversation, not necessarily having to take the lead. If it comes up where you need to take the lead because no one wants to take initiative, then feel free to do so. And also, if it's a thing where no one wants to break the silence, don't feel like you have to stay in silence and it'll break that silence and be like, oh, guys, so it's quite a big case. What do you all think? How do you want to tackle this? And then, that was also something that people will look at and be like, okay, so she's willing enough to take the initiative and be proactive enough. That's a bit of a good quality, and that's definitely something you should do when you have that group work station. Any questions about this question or anything else?
I think I'm good then, because now I remember how to answer it, and it's just like, that should be it. Yeah.
And then we had the first mini interview, and that question was a critical thinking and a current issues in medicine type question. So I combined them both there. And it was currently 1 in 10 NHS jobs are vacant. How would you tackle the issue of staff shortages as a health secretary? How was it on?
Um, I feel like this is me trying to still figure out how my plan was working. So I'm not sure if I signpost properly, but I feel like I did my best to kind of like show that I have looked into the issues. But I was really worried about like talking about paying people more because I didn't want to make it too
And handle that well, actually. Yeah, because you never want to come across too political in your answer. That's always a red flag for medical school interviewers, that if they're too political, because it means you're not looking at both sides.
Yeah.
And that was a really good thing of, I know, saying you'd rather lobby and you listen, which is all the things the government are currently doing and all the things that they need to keep on doing. So I like that bit. So that was fine. I think this question required you to provide more solutions. So if you think about it, you probably spoke about the key principles of doctors being and healthcare professionals being overworked, unsupported, and unpaid. But really, what you needed to do in this question was provide more action points. So first of all, you would find out, look at the reasons why. Then how would you tackle someone being overworked? Well, it means that, you need to, first of all, if doctors feel overworked, that's probably why they're leaving. So how do we now structure workloads differently? Or, how do we recruit more? Think of it on a basic level. If there's staff shortages, what do you need to do? Well, you need to recruit more. And how would you go about recruiting? Would you open up more medical school places, more nursing school places? Would you go abroad, countries like India? All of these things that are solutions to the situation. So whilst it's important to know what the issues are and the issues of why staff shortages are happening, what this question wanted you to really focus and nail in on was solutions. And you only really provided one, which was about being underpaid. But I liked how you quoted back to important cases, and that was really solid. And I think in a question like this, be as sharp as possible, concise and and provide solutions. Okay. Yeah, so for this one, I gave you 3.5 out of 5. Primarily because I think it was a good answer. And if it had been a question about what are the issues that staffs are facing, probably would have got 5 out of 5 because you explained, explored them. But this one wanted a bit more solutions. Okay, so I think, like I said, think of it very basic. Staff numbers are low. How do we increase that? Well, one, we just hire more staff. We get staff from abroad. We increase more places. But really, is this going to be long-term? Well, no. We need to start find out why staff are leaving, because we want to keep the staff that we hire. We want to retain them. And then we also want to lobby for things such as pay that are a bit more complex to get through. As a health secretary, I can't do that alone. I have to do it with the support of various different stakeholders. As we know, it is a very important reason why some people are leaving. So you take it around different solutions and different angles. Okay? Any questions of that?
So just to have an idea what solutions could be, I could definitely say then if there's lack of staff, then we can see of either increasing the capacity of medical schools or just making more.
Yep.
Would it be okay just to leave it as that? Explain a bit more?
It's a risky one, because if you explain more, you actually might end up using the whole question, because that could be a question in itself. So you want to be careful and say that, well, one of the possible solutions we could do is increase more training posts by having more places for medical schools, or building more medical schools. There's another solution of doing that. This will mean that we have more doctors in the pipeline ready for the staff. Obviously, it takes a long time to train a doctor. So you have to bear in mind that this could have a bit of a time, but this may be one of the long-term solutions I'll propose. And then maybe you can leave it at that saying, this is a long-term solution. Short-term solutions could be hiring people who are already professional but are abroad. You see how Brexit is causing people to leave, the EU laws, and I think they become more complicated. So maybe you could go to countries and see what agreements you could have. So maybe medical schools is more long-term. Think about it, short-term and long-term. There's another way to split up your solutions.
Okay. So then can I say maybe you could lobby for having skilled healthcare workers to immigrate to the UK?
Yeah, it's what they're doing. It's what hospitals are doing. So hospitals right now are going to India to recruit doctors to come here. Really, to become a doctor, if you're a doctor already qualified in another country, such as India, to come to the UK, you have to do an exam, which is one major exam, and then you are able to practice it. So it's not as restricted as somewhere like the US or the States, where it's you have to do USMLE and all that stuff. So it's a bit more freedom flowing here. And it is one of the things that they are targeting. It's a good point to mention. And then anything else with that question?
So would you say, numerically, I need at least 2 more solutions? So
I think 3 is always good, because 3 means you can speak for 3 minutes roughly. And then if there's any follow-up questions, you have 2 minutes to talk about them. So this whole interview, you will get follow-up questions. So I'd avoid spending 5 minutes on one question, which is something that I noted for some of them. You did spend a large majority of time on one question. And you want to be able to provide a really strong opening. And I always say, if you have a 5-minute interview, aim to speak for around 3 to 3.5 minutes. And then that gives you some time if there's any follow-up questions, because really you want it to be like a conversation in the interview, a back and forth. And there were some stations where it felt like that, and others where it was more about you providing your comprehensive answer, which was good. They were good answers, but I just want you to be more time sensitive.
That's actually good to know, because I always like try and time my answer for 5 minutes. So yes, I'm trying like to say
yes. 3 to 3.5, because you will get follow-up questions, and they will try to ask more questions or expand on more points as well. Especially that student station, they don't really tell you, but you will get 2 questions there. So I just had to quickly tell you, just so that you didn't answer 5 minutes on why you want to be a doctor, because in that really real thing, you'll get 2 questions, which is why do you want to be a doctor? Why do you want to come to HRMS? And on the website, it says you'll get 2 questions, but a lot of the time people can think, I should answer the first question 5 minutes, but it's about timing that well. Okay. And then the next mini interview question was, what qualities do you have that will make you a good doctor? Once again, really good answer, very good answer. 3 main qualities: signposted, perfect. And you linked it back to your examples and your own and medicine as well. Really good answer. Only thing I would say is you spent 5 minutes on this question.
It was not supposed to.
Yeah, strip it a little bit back, because I did have some follow-up questions about, what do you think you would find hard about being a doctor, and being probably further on these things all. So just be mindful that you want to have about this one. I'd say 3 to 3.5 minutes, probably what you're going to be aiming for. Okay. If you get a question that's quite big like this and requires you to provide a lot of examples, but your approach was right. I just think maybe strip it back a bit and say, don't provide too much background about the internship, for example. I think still keep those like elements in there. They're like, oh yeah, you didn't really good to play. The little joke, the little smile. I think that's good. But we strip the other bits a bit down as well. Okay.
Do you think, like, I struggle to keep my time with like this watch. Is it allowed to, like, if I borrow, like, say my dad that watch?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so
there's no like, it's not an exam where you can like you have an Apple Watch which can go through. This is a digital watch. I tend to use this one, but a digital watch will allow you to just know where you are in time. So yeah, that's also good.
I'll ask you.
I'll ask you. I'm sure we'll give it to you. So this one I give you a 4 out of 5. But that was mainly because
the time. Yeah.
Even score I was struck to 3.5 and 4, but this is not a 3.5 answer. It was a 4 answer because of the level of detail and comprehensiveness of it. I just wanted you to strip it back a bit in terms of time. Yeah. And then the 4th one was a student station. Really good answer for why do you want to be a doctor. You took me on a nice journey. To start off from the very beginning. You linked it to your practical experiences. It was just a really nice manner, a really nice answer, and showed you had the passion in there. So really good answer for why do you want to be a doctor. I really liked it. And it's very personal as well. You start off that wanting to do military science, but that now you want to be a doctor and an orthopedic surgeon potentially. So it was really nice flow. And the whole your medical squad was really good. You've really done your research to the point where you know what research they're doing. Now that's the kind of level of detail you want to get so that you can make them smile and like, oh wow, yeah, she knows her stuff. And you never know, the student who's on that panel could be the one doing research. So you really never know. And that just shows that you're really looking into the things they're doing. I think that was brilliant. That was really good. I gave you 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Really impressed. Well done. And then we have the last one, which is the individual scenario station, where you'll get a video. You don't know what the video will be. Just know that it's going to be a situation or scenario that you have to respond to and react to. How did you find this one?
That video made me so mad. I was like, I can't believe it.
It's funny because we use that video in our training as well. So when we went on our GP placement, they showed us this video, and I was like, "What? Like, how did they even do this? How did the GP even act like that well?" And I was like, So it is something that you may actually happen in GPs. There are some who just don't have that rapport, and I think a lot of it is down to burnout. Not enjoying the job, stressed out, not enough time. I think that's probably the main. You could argue that's maybe why they're reacting that way, but there's no excuse for it anyway. You're a doctor, and your first principle is to always do no harm. And in that consultation, they did way more. They did really a lot of harm. Not any direct harm, but you can just see through the words, through their action. That patient's not going to want to come back. They're going to be very skeptical about seeing a doctor. And you really identified that, really well. So the first thing that was notable was bad body language. And for me, exactly, they were almost like this, and they were like, oh, yeah, and they're just, constantly tapping away on their keyboard, going like that, then just saying how I'm doing this. it was just terrible.
Yeah.
So that was a really good spot from yourself. And one thing I would recommend as well, which you did, was use direct quotes from the video, because it shows that you were really listening and retaining the knowledge. Because when you do that, it's like, okay, you actually picked out this point in the video and that's shown me why. Because in the whole York one, they say that they may ask you questions in between the video or towards the end. So it might be even a bit more different to this, but generally you have a video that you need to respond to. So it's always good to always in your mind just keep register of some key things that you do so that you can bring them up in your answer, so they sound even more better than just feel like, oh yeah, I remember in the video they did something like this, to that, there was a part of the video where they said this, blah, blah, blah. And I found that this was actually, really shocking and XYZ. So that's the kind of things you want to do in that type of station. And yeah, your approach to it as well was really good. You spoke about the whole process of, you'd want to first of all explore the reasons why they're in pain, explain the concept of hysterectomy, and come to a solution that is both what the doctor wants or what the patient wants, or really looking at what the patient wants. So that was really nice. And I think for this station, once again, I gave you a 5 out of 5. Really solid, really, really good. And I think you were able to really take into in that video, you were able to take in so much, and you were able to now understand what the question asked of you. So yeah, really, really well done. It's a really good mock.
Yeah.
You did well. You did very well.
Oh, I'm glad.
You worked extremely hard. I speak to your tutor, Victor, and he's always very impressed with what you're doing. And I think, you are coming to having this mock, and then the one in Rodrigo, I have no doubt that you'll smash the interview.
Oh, I'm happy.
You really are. I think the hard work that you've put in is so evident in the way you speak, the manner of your responses. I think when you even look back at this recording, you're like, oh, did I say that? You're really good. And I think it's just a testament to the hard work that everyone's putting in, your parents and everyone is putting in. But I think it's important that we, in this week that you have, do not overdo it. So with interviews, they're not like an exam, okay? In the sense that you can't cram everything in. There will be a question that you may get asked that you may not know exactly, you may not have come across before. But in an interview, it's not that about getting the answer right. It's your approach and how you come to that conclusion. So if you get a very wacky critical thinking question, it's not necessarily for you to panic or, I haven't been asked this before. It's like, talk me through your solution, or, provide the key principles, link it back to medicine, be very clear. That's the key thing for interviews. It's not something you can cram in. Okay, so I think just bear that in mind. But you are on a good path, and I'm really impressed with your performance. And, from coming here as nervous, you couldn't even tell. I could tell walking, when you went here, you were a different person, you were a different beast. You were like, I'm smashing these questions, and you did just that. So well done, really well done.
Not good.
Okay, I hope you found that useful. Did you guess where the interview was from? If so, pop it in the comments below. I would love to let you know whether you're right. As I said, there are a few places where you can get some help. First of all, on the FutureDoc website, if you go to the free resources page, there is an interview guide which you can use and will be very useful for you. We also have the FutureDoc online course, which is a foundation really for all of the core information that you need to know, all of the possible questions that you can be asked, so that you're covered by at least having seen it once before. That's probably the most important thing. So having exposure to those things so that you can understand how you would formulate it if you got a similar question, or at least know a little bit about it. But again, if you want some one-on-one practice and to be part of that FutureDoc program that, like I say, once people get to interview, has pretty much 100% success rate of getting past that and getting an offer, I recommend that you check out this video here where we can show you exactly how we can help you and get into your dream university. Thank you for watching, and best of luck with your interview.